Thermal imaging. So why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? Oh, come on, guys. It's interactive.
It's a ghost.
Right. How so?
They have heat.
Not heat, but
Cold.
cold. We're looking for cold spots.
We have the heat.
We are, exactly. So, point proven is you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy, which, sorry, Aiden, but I'm the hottest thing inside the video right now. So, see? That's why I wait for all the ladies on my tour. With bridal parties, that's a killer, by the way, especially if they show up drunk. Like, I got them on the floor at this point. I know, right? 9 times out of 10, if they show up drunk, I'm going home. Yeah, like, I'm done. Like, there's no way I'm putting all this expensive equipment. Yeah, there's no way. So, what are we looking for on this? Blue and black spots to either take shape on their own or to start moving on their own. I normally look for 15-degree differences on this. So, again, this is a matter of what are we going to be able to see moving around? Does this capture something every single night? No, but when we do, it's a holy cow moment. I will say that. Like, it is a full-body apparition, and you can see it clear as day. Yeah, the cool thing about this on your recording is you're going to have a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen. The blue dot is giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So when you're watching your video, it kind of helps guide your eye a little bit on where to look for the cold spots. So it's just helping you out a little bit, and of course it's going to be there in real time as well. So this is a FLIR camera, so what does that mean for you? This is what firemen use to actually help save people. Like, this is the real deal. Like, I didn't go around with some crazy phone app on this one. So with this one, we are going to actually go, is it Ella or Ellie? Ella, because we have an Emmy over here, don't we? Yes, okay. Yeah, you guys are going to crisscross me all night long. So this one's actually going to go to you because you haven't said a word yet all night long. And because it does record audio, again, sometimes we don't need a commentary. So again, we're going to go with you on this. You're going to keep this horizontal all night long. You're going to basically try to hold it right-handed, and the camera's always going to be on your left. We will do a few starts and stops with this just because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we're going to lose footage. We don't want to do that. So I will always give you the cues on when to stop the recording. It is recording now with that square on your screen, just so you know. Let's get into the next crazy camera. He wants to see how hot you are now. Check her arm. That's where we... Recording again, we're back up. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several of these tonight. Several different styles, actually. Spirit boxes, if you are unfamiliar with them, is basically a way for us to communicate with the dead. So that's the whole point of why we use them. We're going to be using several different styles. Aiden's like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. We're just talking to dead people. It's kind of weird. Where did we find this guy? What's funny is the booking is under... Yeah, that's the whole point of these.
Well, let him know.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
Point? We're going to what?
We're going to communicate with the dead people.
Right.
So,
Do not understand the meaning of ghost. I don't know.
Here's how this thing is actually going to work. On your TV shows, this would normally appear to you as white noise. So it's all the static, right? So, and then of course they're trying to convince you of some noises that they heard in the middle of it. Now, finding voices in the middle of that is a rarity. I'll be honest with you. I do this for a living. I don't just take you guys ghost hunting. I do my own investigations as well. So finding something in just white noise is hard to do. So to make things easy for people that have never done this or unfamiliar with the spirit box, I slowed these down on purpose. I want the radio chatter to come through. In the event, we can make out a song lyric, a DJ, a commercial. It's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're actually discussing, or something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. So if I get like a war vet on here, and he lost a buddy over in Iraq, we get his name, we get the year he died, we get things all tied to that specific person. So with that said, with this being slowed down, the cool thing is the person listening to it, Chloe, is going to have an earbud in. So she's going to be the only one to hear it in real time.
Yeah.
Thank God that's not.
Now, for the rest of you, you're going to get this recording back tomorrow morning, and I'm going to spot check it, and I'm going to give you my own markers. Now, whatever Chloe hears, I will be writing down in my notebook, because I take copious notes throughout the entire evening. So whatever you hear, I'll be writing down, but I'm also going to spot check this, and you all are going to get the recording back. So that way everybody can kind of test it for themselves. Again, I'm only going to spot check it. So it is already recording, and I don't want earbuds back, because earwax is gross. You need to keep that. Okay. So you have to undo the twist tie to your earbuds, and your volume button is right here. So it is the wheel. Okay. Again, remember, you're listening for the song lyrics and DJs and all of the little chatter that's going to come through. If you can make something out where it says like, welcome to Charleston, or buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard welcome to Charleston and buy a Kia today.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Is that an actual thing you've heard before?
Yes, all the time. That's why I use it as an example, because we omit it because it doesn't mean anything. It's part of the 50% garbage. We're going to throw it out. So, because there's nothing in Welcome to Charleston and by IKEA today, and you're listening to Charleston radio stations, so anything relative that says Charleston, I throw it away automatically because it's too common and too easy. You're going to find out real fast by the time we get to our next location. I don't go after easy. We want the details. So, I have 2 of these. However, the second one is not going to record. So, I'm going to be relying on losing names. Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes. Taylor, I'm going to be relying on you.
Oh boy.
Of whatever you hear in real time for me to write down so everybody else can know what it is. If I give you guys 4 hours of white noise, you guys are all going to kill me. So again, that's why I only give you the 1 recording. Again, earwax is gross. You get to keep that.
Cool.
Volume button is the wheel at the top. I just made sure it's turned all the way down so you get a feel for where that's at. What do we want to go to next? So working in the exact same way, by listening to radio stations and picking up on specific terms, we're going to use a spirit box that we don't have to actually listen to. This particular guy is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. If you watch the TV shows, this would replace what we call an obelisk. So this has 36,000 terms and phrases in it. This is a phone app. This is mostly going to be garbage. About 80% of it is going to be absolute garbage, and we're going to throw most of it away. It's the other 20% that's going to have such a specific detail about the person and history we're discussing, the location, or one of you, that again, we're going to count it, and I will always give you a link to be able to verify why these things are relevant to the spaces we were in tonight. So, last night we actually had 80 terms, slightly higher than a normal 2-hour time frame. And every one of those terms has a timestamp on it, so it kind of helps me, where do I listen to the Spirit Box recording, watch the videos, so forth and so on. So, with that said, this one's going to go to you. Nice and easy one. Now, I don't want to know every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the list, so that way we can kind of peruse it real quick. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till 4 in the morning, and we're going to find another trip and fall, and we don't want to do that either. So, let's see. I know, I love Spirit Boxes. They all do something a little different. But talking to dead people is always the fun part of what we do out here. So we're going to use one more, Emmy. This one's going to go to you.
Okay.
Now yours is going to run through FM and AM radio stations simultaneously and attempt to take out the white noise that Chloe and Taylor are listening to and only give you words. Again, is it always successful? Not necessarily. However, you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 terms total tonight. So, the only thing you need to worry about is where the mute button is and how to hold this guy. Now, the blinking lights at the top means it's running, and that's the top. On the right-hand side is a mute button. I already have it turned on. It's the only button on that side, just so you know. I unmuted it just to kind of give you a gist of where it is. So, again, I'll let you know when it's safe to unmute it, because we're going to be near Pony soon, and they don't like the white noise.
Okay.
We're going to give you a nice, easy job.
Good.
You guys have all seen these on television, I'm sure, the K2 EMF meters. So this is going to measure electromagnetic fields. In a nutshell, we kind of use this to debunk a lot of things. I want to see if it's coming from a man-made object, if it's coming from wiring or a cell phone or parking meters. All you have to do is let me know what colors you see. So very easy. You don't need to push any buttons. And basically, if you want to like tuck it in the front of your purse and keep an eye on it that way, however you want to do it, it's completely up to you. I already have the measurements memorized based on what color you tell me you saw.
Okay.
Nice and easy. Now, you're going to be multitasking.
Okay.
Yeah, good on you, man.
Yeah.
So, this device is called a millimeter. So it also has an electromagnetic field meter in it, but it goes way higher and it's in digital format. So anything that the top numbers say above 2.5, I kind of want to see what's going on, because 2.5 would be the second green dot on that particular device. The bottom number is ambient temperature. Where did my thermal imaging go? So anything that Ella, I'll get it right, I promise. Anything that Ella finds on her camera, you and I can debunk or prove pretty quickly with the ambient thermometer at the top. We can find the cold spot and see if it's coming from something man-made. Last but not least, it has a motion sensor on it. So anything gets close to the antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it. I'm touching it now. Obviously, there's different colors and different noises that come out of this guy. You and I will talk about that at our second stop, because that'll be the first location that we use it. So for now, just kind of get used to the numbers, and you guys were doing the exact thing that most people do, is they share it. So most people just want to listen to one so they can catch me too, so that way you can actually share your other earbud with another person in your party. I try to put a spirit box in every single group that I have, so again, that's why I carry 6 of them, because I never know how many different parties I'm actually going to have. And they all do something a little bit different from the next. Is everybody geared up?
Yes.
All right, guys, go have fun. Aiden's in charge. No, I'm kidding. I only say that because he looks the most worried. So.
Listen, I see a lot of dead people. I'm a fireman and EMT.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
All right. I don't want to be talking to them. Feel like you didn't do enough to save me.
Yeah, that'd be bad. So are we supposed to, like, for mine, am I supposed to have the volume up?
At your discretion.
Okay.
So obviously you're going to want to hear me when I'm giving you the histories and locations, so you'll turn it down.
Okay.
And then of course if you don't want to hear the history, turn it back up again. If I talk too damn much.
Okay.
That's
Got
okay
it.
too. I'm
Got
okay
it.
with it. I
Wait,
talk
so
very
what
fast.
exactly am I looking for?
Blue and black spots in the
Okay, black.
in the camera.
Mostly.
Either taking shape or moving on their own.
Okay.
Most cold spots that you're going to find are just kind of a standstill. It's a piece of metal somewhere on the ground.
Okay.
You know, it's a matter of like, what is it actually doing? Is it just
Yeah.
standing there?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right. So let's talk about why we started here. Of course, we started here for a reason. On this nice dark street corner underneath the creepy
Yeah,
tree.
we were like, this is sketchy as shit.
I know, right? I do it that way on
Seriously.
purpose.
We're like, you're going to put us in a car and take us to Mount Pleasant.
Oh, wait till we get to the dark alley.
Yeah,
So-
good, can't wait.
Even better.
So, Big John's behind me. Of course, the place is haunted. That's why I put it in the text that you guys got for me this morning. So this place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will always do my best to slow down on specific keywords for the, what do we got, 4 spirit boxes running tonight? So that way you guys kind of have an idea of what you're listening for. Keywords here are going to be 47, New York, Giants, and anything relatable to a bar. So here's why the place is haunted. So I guess first and foremost, people don't like their apartments to be filmed. Those are apartments above there. We'll talk about more about what we're allowed to film and what we're not later on. But you're not the first person to do that, so I always kind of look around like, what are my cameras doing? So, with that said, Big John used to sit in the back of this bar, and he would let the bartender know if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. Well, one night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink, so he has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, and he slams down his beer, and he goes over and just starts pounding on these guys, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets shot in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him in the wall. He gets up, after being the only one that's been shot, by the way, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. So, normally if I tell you a building's haunted, you automatically think of some tragic death that occurred here. In the story I just told you, nobody died. So here's why the place is haunted. The bullet hole is allegedly still here. Now, I say allegedly because the new renovation of Big John's could have filled it in. This place has only been open about a year now, and I don't drink, so I don't go in there. And the restroom I use is at the candy shop, so that way, you guys get the point. I don't go in there. But even if they did fill it in, Big John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of the building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is why we start here, because this is your heated warning. Fingers crossed, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. The ghosts are not on the payroll, so I can't make them do anything. So kind of keep that in mind. But at the same time, if anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. It's a very big deal. Of course, we're going to blame it on the heat and humidity first, always, because that's just what we do. But again, that way we can move that person and get them to safety, and we can all be safe at that. Is that fair to everybody? I have to put it out there. Again, that's the most serious thing I'm probably going to tell you all night long. The scariest thing, to be honest with you. So, because it deals with our own health. And you're literally like, what the hell did we just sign up for? So, let's get our mind off our own health, shall we? The sailor now is in a trance. Look at her. She's like focused. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another kind of tour around town, we all talk about it because it's an anomaly for us because we're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. This is South Carolina. This building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front on the very busy East Bay Street side. A piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, apparently killed them, and you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I said apparently a lot with that because I don't have any proof of that story. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, even though I just brought it back up again. So, I probably had it out of your brain and then I brought it back up.
That'd be funny.
Are you guys all ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're actually going to head this way.
Got it.
You guys be nice. This is his life.
We're not the boogeyman's gonna come get us. Careful.
I'm fine. It's Grandma. If I fall, I'm not gonna break a shoulder. Grandma, we're gonna be like miles away.
Maybe Aunt Laura will help
I don't know what
so
else.
that you can do your thing.
I will.
Did to me.
Everybody's ditching me.
You want me to get my phone out for sight?
Oh my god.
I can't get this arm. It's just bad.
If you heard Harry Style and it was As It Was, I want to know that you
It
heard
was
As
as it was.
But is that what he said, or was that the song? Because I want to know the lyric he's saying.
Okay.
I want to break it down to As It Was, not Harry Styles or the song As It Was. All right, so welcome to our first stop. It's very quick and brief here, just because we're going to talk more about your devices. So this is where we keep some of the horses for your carriage rides. This is the big red barn lot. So that's what's inside there now. You guys can probably smell ponies. I'm out here 7 nights a week, so I'm pretty much immune to it. The history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose, and just to use it as an example to teach you more about your gear now that it's in your hands. This is the same red barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So, keywords here are going to be delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about spirit boxes, because again, we have 4 of them out tonight. So again, I have 6, sometimes I like to keep a tally. So for you 4 spirit box folks and sharing with your other counterparts, this is not a Ouija board, and this is definitely not television. So this is, what do you think everybody wants to ask when they get a communication device to a ghost? What do you want to know? Like, what's the first question? Come on, guys, it's interactive.
What the hell am I doing?
What am I doing?
Who are you?
Who are you? What else? How did you die? You guys are. That's good that you're giving me those type of questions. But normally people want to ask, is anybody here?
Yeah.
Right. So, in the event, who's got a spirit box? Chloe hears the word no. That means somebody's here. They answered. That's the whole point. We are not going after yes and no questions at all tonight. Even if you're skeptic and you're here for just fun and you're curious about the paranormal, you're not going to get any paranormal proof out of yes and no answers. So when I'm teaching people how to use a spirit box for the first time, it's a matter of asking questions you already know the answers to kind of get you started. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. And I say looking because we have Laura back there with the word list. So the word list could have the color red on it, but the rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to them to be able to answer us, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. That would make sense to me. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there is at least 2 things going on to be able to verify what's happening. Another example. Let's say Laura's word list gives us the word art. That doesn't mean anything here by itself. And then Emmy actually hears the number 40 coming out of her spirit box. Together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see where we're going with putting the clues together now? Yeah. So again, a lot of this, it's going to be, that's a great first clue. Let's see if we can find a verifier. You're going to hear me use that term a lot tonight. And the verifier could be a reading that's coming off of an EMF meter, whatever the device that ADAIN has. He might have a fault spot reading or something going on. That could be the verifier right there. But a lot of times, it's the communication among the 4 different types of spirit boxes that I use. So, cameras. Let's kind of get into those now that you guys have a better gist of what you're doing with your spirit boxes. We'll start with yours. So, you're going to try to do 2 things for us. Well, I guess for both cameras, people don't like their cars to be filmed, and people don't like to be filmed themselves. So if there's somebody passing by in the areas that we're going to be in, just kind of go the other way. Yours is a little bit more inconspicuous, so just point it at the ground. You have a cell phone, much easier to hide. So with yours, I want you to try to do 2 things. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. We're the warmest thing out here, like I pointed out earlier. So it's going to be much easier to find a cold spot if we know what a hot spot variance looks like. So again, try to keep one of us in view. The other thing, keep the sky out if you can. The reason why, the blue dot will automatically default to the sky because it's looking for a surface. There isn't one. So again, it's always going to go straight to the sky because it's only looking at surface temperatures. Without the lasers tonight, nice slow movements. That's your job. That's all you got to do. Nice slow movements, listening on spirit boxes with the rest of your party, and kind of have some fun with it. You can do double duty because, again, the slower you move with that thing, the much easier it is to find those orbs that are passing by or something that we normally wouldn't be able to see with our own eyes. So again, all the lights are running on it. I'll let you know when to turn it off. Your turn off button is the button all the way to your right, so it's a circle. You would just tap it, and I'll notice that the light in the front is stopped. So just kind of keep that in mind. But we are recording. It just looks like it's running great, so we're going to keep it going so that way we can move on to our next stop. The only person I need to work with still is going to be ADAIN, and I'm going to work with him at the next location. So do you have any words that are popping up on your word list that might be weird or kind of odd?
I heard cash.
One moment, please.
One moment, please.
The song, we heard shivers. I believe. That's it.
Okay. I like shivers. That works. Kind of. Kind of gives us that creepy feel. Go ahead, Laura. What do you got on yours?
Painter, man, map, currency, react, exciting, whack, fall, chant.
Yeah, I got nothing on that. We're going to call that 100% garbage at this point.
Okay.
So, again, it's only going to be about 20%. Some nights we only get 1 or 2 terms out of a 100-word list. It just so happens that way. Other nights we might have 20 to 25 terms that pop up out of it. We never know what's going to occur. Right? All right, I say we get away from football players and ponies because I'm not a sports guy. We ready? All right, good deal. We're going to head this way.
Wordless history. I've been away from I can't tell.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. What is it? I don't know.
Here it goes.
You guys don't like it. Really?
She has lights. She doesn't know what it means, but she's got lights.
Well, he's not waiting for us, so.
You go on, honey. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll catch up.
Okay.
If I lose you, keep your phone on.
Right here.
So, that's kind of cool that you're getting it just how it works. Then. That's good. Do we have any readings? Is that...
So
I had
back
some
there,
lights
I was
over there.
getting,
You had lights too? Go ahead.
back there I had about a 3.0 reading.
Okay, in the big red barn lot or crossing the street?
Like right as we were crossing the street.
Maybe it was the guy walking.
Huh?
Maybe it was the guy crossing the street next to us.
So normally when we're on our major streets where there's parking meters, the electrical line's underneath the sidewalks. So it's actually strong enough to give us a little bit of a reading. What colors did you actually get up to?
Just two more
This-
lights.
So like an orangish color?
Yeah.
Okay, so was it about the same time?
I don't know.
I don't
Not
know.
sure?
I was crossing over there.
You were crossing as well? Okay, so I'm going to count that as part of the parking meters. Again, I'm not here to make things up and say, wow, look at that. Like, I'm not that guy. So again, I'm always going to debunk things first. So, welcome to a parking lot. Congratulations, everybody. You made it. So, I told you I'm taking you to weird spaces. So, what is this place? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot, and Eliza's garden was right over here by where Five Church Restaurant is and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. Yeah, I always like to give you the layout of the land. So with the 4 spirit boxes, possibly 6 people listening or watching them, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. I am going to withhold information purposely, so that way you all actually have a genuine experience. So again, you're here for paranormal stuff, we're going to hopefully see some of that tonight. I can't make it happen. Now, who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track. That's why we look for the secondary verifier clues, to make sure we know which Chuck we're chatting with. So, yeah, kind of a funny thing to say. It's kind of, I had to slow down on that one. But at any rate, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than all of you. So we're going to actually move on to Eliza. Eliza has a much cooler story, and I'm sure you all appreciate that more than politics. Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you will not hear numbers like 12 and 14. So don't expect those. Again, today's standards. The reason I bring this up is because her husband, Charles, was over double her age. So again, kind of a creepy age gap back in colonial times, kind of a creepy age gap now. So again, kind of the same comparison. But anyway, she married Charles because her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home so that way he can see them one last time. Well, Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she got married. It's 1744. You don't get married on this side of the world for a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country yet. She did marry Charles out of love, and even after he died, yes, because he was over double her age, he went first, she remained a widow. So again, this was a true love story. Back to their marriage. When they got married, her father, she was right, Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. So you guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. Somebody had a denim jacket around their waist. So, yeah, Becky over there. So that's actually how we use it. But when she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She actually learned from her slaves how to keep it cultivated and are not always hot temperatures. So once she had it figured out, she moves it to another plantation, makes a cash crop, and calls her father and says the rice plantations are going downhill. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. So here's why we're here. This is a very active space. We're going to go through, that was Eliza's business. We're going to get into her weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here, for the paranormal weird stuff. So we're going to go through kind of a series of questions with each person that you can ask Eliza, and hopefully you'll get answers based on your spirit box. So,
folks going on a graveyard tour over here?
no, this is a ghost hunting tour.
Or the ghost hunting, or what?
And I already have all my folks.
You do.
I do.
Are you with like the
18
bulldog?
Anson.
Yeah, you're going to
right
go
there.
up 2 blocks and make a right.
Thank you.
I just saw 3.4
How much?
to 3.4.
3.4. Okay, remind me to write that one down when you and I are talking individually. So, spirit boxes, let's go right down the list. Laura, we're going to start with yours. So, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back to back. So, his first wife was named Eliza, so was the second one that I just spoke of. Now, the first wife, she dies in January of 1744. 5 months later, he marries the one I just talked about. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Try to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking her maiden name. The other piece you can ask is the age at marriage question, to kind of see if you can get any answers out of that. So ask her how old she was when she got married, or how old Charles was when they got married. Literally vocally, or if you want to just focus on those questions, that's completely up to you. Your comfort level, the 3 of you can actually work together, so that way you can actually kind of watch the spirit box all at the same time. You're going to need Susan's, K2 meter anyway to know where the actual hot spots are, because she's going to know based on the colors that are popping up. Your questions. We are going to focus on the children with yours. I want you to ask how many children she had. I already told you there's at least one, right? Named Charles. There are more. So find out how many and then what their names are. Don't ask any other questions, because if we poke the bear, there is a tragedy among the children and all activity will stop. We already got a little tiny EMF reading coming out of Aiden's device, so we're going to kind of see what happens with that. But how many in the kids' names? Your device.
Yeah.
The mansion's not here. You can ask what happened to it and when did that happen, and hopefully we'll get a date. Again, a lot of times if we get the term of what actually happened to it, because yes, it's a tragedy, you'll have to figure that out with the spirit box, which kind of tragedy. We'll get the full date, the month, the date, and the year. Just depends on how the night is going. Your spirit box. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. How old she was, where she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Again, notice none of these questions that I handed out to you are yes and no questions. So again, you can ask anything that I actually mentioned to anybody else if you'd like. However, I do it focused like this, so that way you guys at least have something to get started with. So in case you're not getting answers to your specific questions, ask something else that I gave another person. We never know where the answers are actually going to go. So I do have to work with Aiden first, so that way I can show him how to use that motion sensor. So I'm sure Chloe's going to hang around with us for a few minutes, so that way she can see how it works too. But everybody else, we're going to spread out within the confines of these walls right here, and we're going to go through and find where those hot spots are, and take nice slow video. Again, there's vehicles in here, so we don't want to focus on people's cars, and we definitely do not go in between people's cars. We're actually fortunate because there's not many cars in here. We actually have a lot of space to work with. So we're going to spend like 5 to 10 minutes here based on the activity that's going on. I will be bouncing around each group to kind of take notes of what's going on with all of your devices, and we'll kind of take things from there. Before we leave, I will give you all of the answers to the questions I just gave you to ask Eliza and or Charles. And we'll come back here again and I'll say, all right guys, let's round it up. Let's see what's going on. So at this point, everybody, let's spread out. Aiden, hang out, man. Let's do this. We're going to show you how to use this guy. What happened to the mansion? When did that happen? Sure. All right. So, Bugs, Grandma, you need to go through the first one. Right, go down. That 3.0.
All right, let's go ask.
So they both had maiden names that started with L or something?
They both had first names with Eliza. We want to know what the last name is.
Yeah, but they both started with L.
Eliza 1 or Eliza 2? What is your last name?
Stop, you can't make me laugh. I have to get a steady video.
How do I get a hotspot?
Ella and I.
You gotta keep asking.
Eliza.
Stop. You're getting upset.
Right here.
Don't upset.
Wait, stop it. Stop. Okay.
Eliza, what's your last name? Disaster, it says.
Maybe that meant like the house is gone.
I just had it.
Or her marriage was a disaster.
Eliza.
She's mad at you now. You aggravated her.
I'm getting heat. Eliza. What's your last name? Is it going to show up on my thing?
I don't know, maybe. Just look for L start words. No. No.
Here's a hot spot. You got nothing. Don't fall.
It'll be on thermal recording.
Eliza. Please talk to me.
Nope.
See, I don't know. So what do we have going on with this?
I had some lights.
What colors did you have?
Just the
Like a yellow?
yeah, a yellow.
So we'll say about 10 milligrams. He's gotten like 3 milligauss, which is, again, it's a little bit more accurate than digital. But again, I still like to use yours to kind of see if things start to match up. Any other words popping up on there? That
Nothing with an L. That's what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah. A lot of times things will start to pop up based on who else is asking questions.
Oh.
So that's why I like to always just kind of take a quick glance at it. I mean, we have 23 terms so far, and there's nothing out of it. Now, copper to this location doesn't really have any kind of meaning. So far, it looks like we're about 100% garbage.
Okay.
So, the whole point of this is for you guys to have fun. Remember the history. So, glad that you guys are laughing. How's your camera going?
Boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
So swap with somebody. Take the, here.
I'm
I'll
good.
keep you dizzy. I got an extra spare box.
Okay.
That's the fun stuff. Now, this one's a little harder to listen to. You're gonna have to. 5.6. Nice. The fun thing about your video is watching it the next day because I send it to YouTube, so that way you guys can watch it however you want to.
Just
Okay.
got something again.
You both had it at the same time?
Yeah.
I'll write down whose readings here in a moment. Let's set this up. Alright, so your volume for your spirit box is going to be on the...
What's that? But
That's the ground.
okay. I was saying, I
There's
don't
mud
think it's
and gravel in
moving.
here, so the ground can be really hard to read.
Okay.
So your spirit box is going to work the same way, but your volume is right here. So you have to hold this guy up to get volume out of it, and obviously roll it down and hold it there to turn it down.
Okay.
So I'll turn it up to like a good level here, so that way you can actually listen to that as well. Let me know if you hear anything. Again, this records audio too, so if
Okay.
you miss something, it'll pop up on the audio.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No. You can do like 5 things at once.
I got 5.6 and 5.0 right in this area, right here.
Got some music.
So there's no electricity here. Tell me with that. I just flushed blue. Here.
What?
Just flushed blue. And a little bit of motion going by you. Eliza, can you make that go to a different color? Say purple.
I want to turn the volume up.
Let me check.
It's on the side somewhere.
Let me get my light.
You said it was on the side, but
I think he's doing something with his bag.
okay, it's okay. Well, it's right here. It just
Something's here. It keeps going.
maybe it's this stupid speaker.
You need it?
When you
That's louder now.
It won't take it.
So when you add, you're supposed to get words that'll pop up?
I do.
That refer to that?
Dude, I have to keep my arm up like this. No.
Yeah. You got another hour, baby.
You pass out. I'll be like, ugh. He can hear the audio from this.
He picked the young one that can carry it.
Who's Mark?
I don't know.
Mark.
You got a mark? I got a mark, a north,
Anger?
an anger, a steady, a jump.
Can you look at those ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I need to pay attention.
I'm
to
looking for an L. Well, you got to look for other words too that pertain to the other people. Number of children, I think you said. Yeah. Oh, Mars might be another child's name. Oh, got it.
I can't understand what this is saying. Okay, I got the volume figured out. I was
Are
probably
you getting blue, cold?
not like orbs. It's just the ground. Oh, oh.
You better do something right here. Something's going on here. Anything? Oh, it's not ours. It's a child. No. I'm like, okay.
I don't think he likes us. He seems upset with us. I need to like switch arms or something.
This is going off here and it's not going away. All right. Well,
Wait,
we'll just stand
hold this
on.
for like 2
Laura,
seconds.
You gotta ask some questions here.
Okay.
Eliza, what's your last name? What are your children?
One question at a time.
What were the other questions like? How many children do you have? Yeah, that I.
Birch?
Yeah, it was number of children.
No, I'm just talking about this. It said birch.
Oh. She's got lots of activity. Eliza,
This or
how many
her?
children did you have? What were their names? Chalk and chalk.
Yeah. It's Bruno Mars. Yeah.
Still there? No. Are you? What do you got? Hot spots?
They're supposed to be cold spots.
Cold spots.
No.
Are you looking for like movement of the blue?
Like more in this color.
Yeah.
And
The
then
dark
like,
one, right?
Any other colors coming out of
yeah.
I've been really a lot.
And then moving.
Any yellows?
Because there's
Only
stuff,
up
but
to
it's just not
the-
moving.
The yellow
Like,
color.
yeah.
I think that third one. You getting anything out of your spirit box now that you have an extra one?
No.
And you're still stuck on Mark and North? Was that?
No,
I think I just got-
Mark and accounting and equivalent as well.
Yeah, no. You could turn that up a little bit in here.
Okay. You guys can listen too.
Yeah, I like to hear.
I just didn't know how loud it was. I didn't want to.
It doesn't matter. You want my arm?
Hurts my arm.
Well, we can switch.
Well, that's way on the ground. Just hold it. Unlock.
People pull out, they're kind of going to their vehicles. Come on over, Emmy.
I just got a 17.0.
Emmy Green.
Can I turn this off?
You can.
I'm still reading the 16.2.
So I'm going to explain what these numbers mean so everybody kind of has a gist of them. We're actually going to move over here a little bit closer. So you definitely have a green, steady, reset. So I will tell you, I mean, I'm going to look for it when I'm going through it, but 90% of the time, it's an insect. But
You got yourself a
There's,
fly.
there's like a street named Arlington come to mind.
no, but that is also a city in Virginia. All right, so here's where the mixed bag is coming from. Like, we're getting mixed signals from like all kinds of things. I'm going to explain the readings from Aiden's device first, just so everybody kind of has a gist, and it also coincides with what Susan has. So behind your TV set is a bunch of wires, right? So I'm using examples from your home so you kind of have an idea of what these things are actually measuring. That's going to read about 40 to 60 milligauss, which is how I have these devices set up on milligauss. So that way they're reading the same type of unit of measure. So again, 40 to 60 is pretty high. Like, that's a pretty good amount. He just had a 17 in a location where there's no electricity. So again, the whole gist of these devices is that the spirit world can manipulate it because electricity is basically energy. And I hate using that term because energy is so generic.
No, I'm good.
Now, your microwave running on high and you're standing next to it using Aiden's device is going to be about 150 to 170 milligauss. So kind of dangerous levels, right? So that's why they say microwaves don't stand next to them when they're running. The highest reading I've ever had out of Aiden's device has come out of this location at 214 milligauss. That's like putting your head inside the running microwave. So yeah, dangerous levels. So I am a guy with seizures and epilepsy, so that was kind of like, we're getting the hell out of Dodge. Like, I moved my whole group, like we left. So again, those are the types of things that I talk about, like at the beginning with that heated warning where Laura was getting so worried. So again, uncanny things that you just cannot explain. That's why we're here. So you're giving me a mixed bag of all of the different things you guys are hearing, different months, but you're also giving me, you had a name that popped up, and I was explaining to Taylor, lately I've been seeing more and more clues to another story about a block from here that I normally tell you, and I will tell you later on, in this location. So here's the interesting thing. She did hear the term Joe Biden, which obviously we all know who that is, but the name Joe specifically makes sense to that story. It's about a doctor named Joseph. We also heard the term July. Who heard July? So we had July, and then you heard September 7th. Dr. Joseph, that I'm going to tell you about later, his birthday is July 7th. So again, I told you, Taylor, I'm going to see like weird things, but you also gave me the month September, which is definitely relative to Big John. That's a bleed over. I kind of expect those things. He was born in September, he died in September, but the number 7 doesn't relate to him at all. So based on if we get anything else relative to Big John, I may just X out the September and just go with the clues that we had a lot of clues from the doctor story that I'm going to tell you later. Again, it's literally a block and a half this way. It wouldn't be uncanny to have some of those clues come up here. It just, I don't normally see it. The past few weeks I have been. So those are the interesting things that you guys are basically telling me. For those of you with cameras, you can stop your recording at this point. Kind of give your hands a little bit of a break. Laura, you got anything? Ben?
Laura, you got anything?
And I heard Vince is squatting away.
I'm not surprised.
Do you have anything, Aiden?
Can
I had
turn this
one
on?
little-
No,
one
the
light.
motion sensor we won't need in here. We will be using your red screen though. Did you hear anything along yours?
No.
Nothing on yours? And any names come up on yours? Or
I had Colin, but it was back in that other place.
okay. This is gonna be fun. It's very interesting. You guys have Jax, right? It's interesting. Oh, you heard Jackson caller? Jack.
I'm just not even listening. I was worried about you guys.
Oh, we're fine. No, we're fine. She just has to go slow.
Fair enough. I'm more focused on Ben. So let's explain why we're here. Where are we, first off? When we came down that last crosswalk, coming down East Main Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So you are standing on one of the first streets we ever had. So people used to live here, which is why I gave you, to listen in for names. Again, when I say people live here, I'm not talking about a lengthy list of people, but I do have the full list of every resident that's ever lived down here. The names I commonly hear are Benjamin and James. So every 6 to 7 weeks, these names actually pop up from you guys. I didn't mention the name Benjamin to anybody tonight. What's ironic is that comes up every 6 to 7 weeks, and we're just rounding up on week 6, 7 of that loop that I keep track of. So again, I've been, and you can listen to any other tour I've done in this location, I do keep track of it. And it's not like, oh my God, we heard Ben, we must be in the loop. Again, I was kind of expecting it starting either today or tomorrow because it will occur. Here's the funny thing. When there were people living down here, it was only like 2 to 5 people at a time. So when I tell you I hear Benjamin and John all the time, every 6 to 7 weeks, that's 2 out of 5 people that lived here. And there were 4 different Johns that lived down this alley. So again, which one is it? John likes to give us his last name. It's Johnson. So we'll hear Ben, John, Johnson. Yes. I know. There's also an Alexander that's very, he was a prominent person in the early 1800s for us too. Yeah, I know. Mom's from Quebec. So, but John likes to give us his last name, and I have no other significant thing about these 2 individuals other than the fact that they lived here at the same time. What we're dealing with here is what they call the stone tape theory. Here's where things get a little weird. So we're actually going to place your device down on a brick, and you're just going to keep an eye on it for me. Literally put it on the ground. So pick any brick you want and just place it on the ground. These bricks, no, just his. Yeah. So these bricks, you got an 8.2? Let me explain before you give me
Mine's going off, too.
Has it been steady on that green?
It's been going more. The one more yellow or whatever color it is. There it goes. She
It's
holds
the
it a
yellow.
certain
That's
way.
still a rhythm. That's probably coming from something electrical behind you from that hotel
Oh,
room.
okay.
Now, with Aiden's device, we just placed it on the Belgian blocks of the alley. These things have been here since 1739 that we know of. That's a guesstimate because there's no actual record of when they were laid. They're made of granite. Granite is not supposed to have any type of electrical charge to it at all. Think of a magnet. A magnet would have a very high electrical charge to it and probably about that 20 to 40 milligauss that we talked about earlier. I would expect a 1.1 up to because that's what the ground gives off, an automatic 1.1. An 8.2 that he just gave me, that's astronomical for this location. Like that is really high. So again, we're in that 6 to 7 week loop and you have 10.3. It's growing. So again, we're at an interesting point because of where we are in the loop. It's basically stated that the 10.3 was it? 10.2. 10.2. So the stone tape theory basically states that rocks or anything earthly that stays in the same space for a long period of time can hang on to the memories of the things that happened there. Again, these bricks have been here for a few hundred years. Again, why am I only getting the names Benjamin and John? Every once in a while we'll get Jane. Jane also lived here in 1801. Again, I don't tell you anything about these names until we get into the space and you tell me what you've heard. Now, before people lived here, go ahead and pick up your device unless it's going up higher. Okay, so before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons on the red spirit boxes, so that would be Chloe and Taylor. We do get the term Illuminati that shows up from time to time. My question to you is who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Because that's what we're listening to. So the second reason is, why am I only getting it while we're here? We'll also get the word symbols on your spirit box that love to show up in this location. Obviously Mason, Freemason, we will get a lot of weird terms around the Freemasons while we're in this space. I'm very excited about the fact that you heard Ben and you had a 10.2. Like, that is one of the highest readings. It's gone all the way to 15.7. That's the highest I've seen in this space. But a 10.2, definitely noteworthy, especially considering where we are in the loop. Very interesting indeed. Now, the next space we're going to go to, we don't stay here for long periods of time because people are staying in that hotel. We're going to go to another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing now. I've been booted out. You guys have all the noisemakers and the blinky lights. It is considered residential at the end. And again, we're not supposed to be there. It's out of bounds for us tour guides. So kind of keep that in mind. I still tell the story of it outside the alley because it still stirs up enough activity. And this is the doctor story that I told you guys about earlier that we were getting clues from back at Pinkley Mansion. So I know I'm kind of taking you in a weird loop, but I'll be able to point to the Pinkley Mansion based on where we are once we get there. I will also tell you how I got kicked out of there because that's the fun part of the story that I'm sure everybody wants to hear. It is actually relative to why I take you to the stop after that. So as we exit the alley, those of you with video cameras, you will stop your cameras as we exit because we're cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next space. We'll cross the street and make a right. Again, I will keep a slow pace so that way we can all keep up and our bandages aren't breaking open. So I will do my best. That was a slow pace for me. If I'm too fast, you
No,
gotta...
that's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about us.
Well, you're part of my group. Of course I'm going to worry about you. So that's why you guys are all here. I know people by name at this point. I don't think I screwed up anybody's name too badly tonight, have I? Good. All right. You would speak up, I hope. All right. Let's head up this way. Simply because you're ghost hunting. You're going to need different clues, like more detail. So let's kind of get into this. Remember, I told you there was a doctor that moved down here. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. Remember we had Joe Biden and I kind of tied it to Joe? Mm-hmm. So he moves down here from Rhode Island. He's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda, who just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. Now, she has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash flow. But the attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So the doctor moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. And if people are starting to walk by, Miss Becky, you're going to drop it. You know, you can keep it low and still kind of keep it going. There you go. Be a little bit more discreet. You look like a vlogger out here. Just like, check everything in. Just trying to be sneaky Pete a little bit. But anyway, it's okay. As the doctor's coming into town, the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start, right? But somebody was walking by, a local, his name was Ralph Isaacs. Now I'm going to stop on Ralph because you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something. Ralph has the same initials, Ralph Isaacs, as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. RI shows up here a lot. However, secondary verifier shows me which character it actually belongs to. Again, initials are a big deal when you're ghost hunting. Because again, sometimes that's the only thing they can get out. Or whatever they can grab on a spirit box. So anyway, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to actually go in there. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can actually rent a room from them and you'll be safe. The doctor takes him up on the offer and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays down here, the more money he's making, which means Amanda's moving down soon. You know, he's proving his point. We're going to wait for this noisy group to kind of pass by us. Perfect. Look at you go. You're right on top of it. You need a job, young lady.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And we were like sitting there waiting, and there was only 4 of us on the tour, so we're like,
You're in Charleston. You can't get away. You can't have a tour without pirates in it, unfortunately. And you'll see why I say unfortunately, because I'm not a pirate person, like at all. I'm a vampire guy through and through. But anyway, back to Ralph. Oh yeah, Amanda's moving down soon. That's where I was at, right? So the doctor becomes known as the whistling doctor because he whistled all the time. He's pretty happy that he's making. This is late 1700s. People whistle. So I will tell you that every haunted city you're going to go to in the future will have a cliched whistling ghost. It's a guarantee. However, there is a lot of proof from the ghost story that I'm telling you now. We're going to get into that. But him and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. One night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're talking about the play on the way home because they can't do it while they're, at the play because they're not next to each other. They're arguing over the actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. So it turns into a very heated argument when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. Yeah, it's pretty ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph being from here, he goes to his friends at the newspaper and places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Pretty much he's a disgrace. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. Let's settle this once and for all. Somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He wanted to make a point to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has this one shot. He puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd doesn't die, but he falls to the ground. His friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out that bullet himself. Just kind of keep that in mind. So the campfire ghost story part of this that every tour likes to tell is that as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, again, keep in mind, if you're going to do this on your own and use voice recorders from your phone, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night since I've been booted out of there, because we're going to end right there. My garage is right there. I have to pass the alley, and if my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So, here's how I got booted out of here. And I used to take my tours all the way through, where I was not allowed to go, all the way through. So, I do have some very faint whistling in the background that can't be explained. It's a very quiet space. So, they also say you can hear gunshots, but I don't have any proof of that. Last night, somebody actually popped the headlight at the same time I said that last night. It was like right on cue. I'm like, I planned that, everybody. It was pretty cool. But at any rate, so this alley didn't always go all the way through to this Cumberland Street that we're standing on. It was blocked off, which means the bricks on the other side are older, on the Queen Street side. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. And I always pointed them out because there's a handprint from a slave child at the end of the alley and some fingerprint swipes from when those kids had to turn those bricks. I'm sure you guys all figured out by now I'm all about the history. Without history, paranormal means nothing. So, I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. We talked about cemeteries earlier. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. You're not going to get a reading from it. However, on November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 wanted to huddle around that one brick with the handprint in it, trying to get a reading from it. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion at the end of this alley. He was not very happy with me. He came out screaming. My daughter thought it was hysterical. She was on the tour that night. Dad's getting yelled at. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour that day. I worked in retail for over 20 years. I'm sure you guys can appreciate me taking a Thanksgiving off. And I worked for Walmart, no less, for a good part of that. So I didn't have a tour. The next day was November 28th. Yes, these dates are important. November 28th, I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, or reroute my group. So I decide it's not fair for my groups of 10 to work around groups of 20 to 60. So we're going to reroute, and I have to talk about pirates. I tell my group I don't believe the story, which I didn't at the time, but I'm going to tell as much as I know and kind of see how it goes. We're going to wing it. Tickets were much cheaper then. I can wing it. But at any rate, before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. So it was a matter of, okay, maybe there is something going on here, because I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So again, that's where we're going next. When we get there, and I told the little bit I did know, very sarcastically, because I didn't know much about it, somebody else hears the number 300. I didn't know what that meant until I did the research the next morning, like I'm going to do for you. The number 300 is significant because we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So again, I keep taking you all back there in hopes that we're going to be able to capture more evidence. Lately, it has been getting a little bit more active, but it is a hit or miss location. We're either going to have a lot going on or nothing going on. So again, worst case scenario, you guys learn a whole hell of a lot about pirates, because since November 28th of that day, I've read more books about pirates than I cared to have ever wanted to read about pirates, to kind of find as much factual information about pirate lore so we can actually go ghost hunting in that space. So, it's a crazy story. So, have we heard or seen anything before we depart? You got anything going on over yours, Miss Laura?
Still over, complete. No, nothing.
Just weird that we're not
Guard,
getting
Metropolitan.
Robert?
No, guard.
It's just weird that we're not getting any clues relative to the duel in this space, but we got it over at the Pinkley Mansion, which is literally a block and a half that way now. That's okay. You've been listening to me. You've been working. It's fine. You gotta learn. All right. Anything going on with yours, Chloe? A lot of Adele.
I keep getting cupcakes, so.
Yeah, you heard Harry Styles, but again, it's not about who you hear, it's about what they're singing. All right, let's head up to the next space. Let's go learn about pirates.
Should I stop recording?
Where's my group from Wisconsin? Right here. Okay, so here's what's interesting. I'm glad you gave me Chicago. First off, why don't you guys have a seat if you want to? Susan, I figure you can get off your feet and kind of
I'm fine.
Okay, well, we can hang out here.
Me too.
All right. We got half and half. Okay.
gun factory or whatever this place is.
It's a powder magazine. So here's what's
I'm
interesting.
getting the powder magazine.
That is very odd for this location. For you to be getting
Are you
anything.
Aiden?
What's that?
Is Aiden get?
I'm getting 0.8.
So pretty much nothing on his, and you're getting like a steady 10.
Still the, yeah.
Interesting. Again, I don't expect any colors or numbers out of yours. So colors, yes, on yours, no colors on hers, which is interesting that you have that much going on.
Look
We're
at
going
that.
to once I
It's
get through the
not even
history.
flashing.
So it's weird that it's so steady, because normally that's something man-made, and you're nowhere near anything man-made of electrical wiring, and you're too far away from an electrical pole for it to be giving that kind of reading. So if you want to test that, move closer to that corner and see if it goes up. But that would be my only suggestion at this point, because I have no reason why that should be going up. I normally don't expect any colors out of this location.
So what's that mean?
I don't know. We'll find out.
There's a ghost here.
Hopefully, which is why we're here. But the reason why I asked about the Wisconsin bit is because oftentimes I'll either hear things when I'm going through the data, or things will pop up on Laura's word list relative to a guest on my next tour. So it happens all the time. It's either a nationality, where they're from, a person's specific name with their spelling, just whatever it is. Last night, when I'm going through the data this morning, I heard the term Wisconsin before I knew that you guys were from Wisconsin. Now, before you guys get creeped out that I'm stalking what state you're from, I actually keep track of the demographics of where you guys all travel from, so that way I know my marketing piece. So again, I do keep track of it, so when I look up your area codes, I know what state you're from, and I just keep a chart and a heat map so I can keep track of it. It was just very interesting that Wisconsin showed up last night, and here you all are from Wisconsin. So you told me Chicago, and I don't know if somebody from tomorrow night is going to be from Chicago. We get a lot of weird predictions like that. And when I say nationalities, I might get somebody that's on the tour that's Filipino, that's Greek, and it'll come up with Nick, Greek. I'm not Greek, by the way, but you get my point. It'll say that person's name and then tell me their nationality. So that's why I'm excited about Chicago, because I don't know what tomorrow looks like yet. But at any rate, very cool that you guys actually are getting the gist of how to listen to these. I'm very sad that Laura's list is pretty a dud tonight. So when I get a second set of eyes on it and fresh in the morning with a cup of coffee, I might actually see something different relative to what you guys were telling me in real time. But where are we? We're at the Powder Magazine. So I'm sure you guys all noticed the crosses on this building as we were kind of approaching it. Those are not crosses, first off. Those are earthquake bolts. We talked about the big earthquake here in 1886 at the top of the tour. Now, earthquake bolts, if you're unfamiliar with those, they're basically turnbuckles. So basically, if we had another earthquake, you can turn the turnbuckles, because you can see the wrench marks in the center, and it'll tighten the building back up and hopefully eliminate it from collapsing. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. Now, you guys have been seeing earthquake bolts all over town. It's just part of the Charleston charm. You've probably seen them in lion heads and pineapples or whatever else is actually on there. Now, the reason I bring this up is because this is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston actually put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. This thing was finished in 1713, which is why we're here. We're here because this building is familiar to Anne Bonny. This is the same time frame when this was being built that she actually came to Charleston. So kind of keep that in mind of why we're here. It's like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle. So we talked about the Charlestown Wall earlier when we were back at Lodge Alley. Behind me where that garage is standing, that's where the wall stood. It went up this way past the Powder Magazine and started going south that way towards the battery, blocking the Powder Magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. If pirate ships or Revolutionary warships are going to attack it from 3 blocks away, first off, it's going to be a long way to make it here. So it might not even make it to the building. That's why it's so far away. Second, those walls are 32 inches thick. It's going to have a hard time penetrating the wall, but we're going to pretend that it actually does and goes through and blows up the gunpowder. Underneath those red shingles that you see, there's sand that was put there during its construction, early 1700s, that was put there because if it gets hit and the gunpowder explodes, the sand goes up in the air and then falls to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's a great idea, but that doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery, and it did get hit. It exploded, the sand went up, and the building burned to the ground. So apparently that theory just doesn't work at all. But the sand is still there because we actually had to do some repairs on this place in the 1990s, and we saw that the sand doesn't disintegrate. So it's still there. So let's talk about why we're here with Anne Bonny. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years?
Yes.
No, not at all. So our story actually begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She comes here from Ireland with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Because there's a lot of twists in this story. The three of them are running away from his wife. So how angry was she that they actually...
Scandalous.
I know, right? Very.
Right.
And if you dive deeper into the wife story, it's even worse. So we won't get into that.
The country.
Yeah.
And the sea.
Now,
Sure.
with that
It's
said,
okay.
once they get here, Dad buys a
scooch right there.
plantation in Georgetown.
Can you help her, Ellen?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh wait, scoot back a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
I figured you could use a rest.
Yeah.
So they land in Georgetown, which is just north of here, in between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. So that means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. She's obviously familiar with the building at this point. Now, Anne back home in Ireland, she was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So again, keep that young lady's mentality as we go through the rest of the story. We are talking pirates here. Now, we're going to fast forward. The building was done in 1713, and pirates are coming through town in 1715. So Anne falls in love pretty quickly. Guy number one. Yes, I will keep tally. There's a handful. Guy number one turns out to be James Bonney. You can already see where this one's going. Somebody heard James on the way here, didn't they?
Oh, we did.
Yeah, there you go. Clue number one. Hopefully we find a secondary. But James Bonney is a filthy pirate. Dad doesn't approve. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. However, this is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. That's not who she wanted. So a few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number two. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the real person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So kind of keep that in mind. Calico Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Why? They're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So that was just kind of the mentality she had. It's a man's world. I want to be a pirate. Let's go. Let's put two and two together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine, and come back later. We'll figure it out. She comes back. She has no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No matter how much reading I've done on pirates, there's no record of it anywhere. However, she's also dressed like a female. That much is for certain. And that makes Jack mad because now his entire crew is going to know he let a girl on the crew. So he has another pirate crew down below deck that he just captured while she was away. She's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have two females dressed like males trying to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain. And the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet, and they're obviously going to get taken, because two ladies with one-bullet guns are not going to work out. So they get arrested. As they look at, they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog is very prominent here on your spirit boxes. The judge, his name is Nick as well, so if you hear my name, it's not me, it's usually the judge. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates, so they're dead and gone. The two ladies go in front, reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said to the judge, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he says, "Fine, we'll delay your hanging." He sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She marries again. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We don't know for sure. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending, I know. But as far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was scurvy and bumpy and gross and whatever. For all you Spirit Box folks, I only left out 2 questions because you guys all know what you're doing by now. The only 2 questions I left out that I can actually fully prove are the name of Anne Bonney's parents, that's the father and the mistress, and the name of Calico Jack's ship. So again, these are things you can go after for sure. If you want to ask anything else, by all means do so. It's fair game. If you get answers, let me know what they are. For those of you with cameras and you want to check out the front of the powder magazine, that means you have to exit the lot and come down this way to look at the front of the side. You can do that. The only thing I ask is you don't get in the way of the other tours. So they're going to tell their story and move on. However, the Spirit Box folks, most of you love to hang out back here. So Aiden, with yours, you are going to be using your motion sensor here, just because I want you to focus on asking Anne what her hair color was and see if she'll give it to you. So
again, we're looking for the color. Like you're not going to probably get a whole lot of numbers. I'm still super surprised that the K2 meter is giving us anything in this location.
I'm getting, where she was standing, I'm getting a solid 2.9.
2.9. Solid?
Like 2.9 to 3.0.
So I would
It's still going.
It's like if I do it right.
Go to the corner,
Yeah,
Laura.
let's test these out. So both of you head over to this corner and see if the electrical pole is where is it going up, going up, going up.
Mine's going down now.
It went down too. Because normally in that corner is where we get most of the
You can't even
activity.
listen to this at the same time. And
Are you recording?
I'm good. Yes, but I had it down because there were people.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, this is where the other tours get jealous of you guys because you have the gear and they
They're
don't.
over there, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to the front of the powder magazine, so you guys might want to hold off on going over there to record. But yeah, we're going to spread out in here. Let's have some fun. This is our last big hurrah. You can crank that thing up over here. You're not going to bother anybody.
I'm falling asleep.
Oh, I know. White noise is no fun.
I heard the number 433.
433.
That was about it.
That's got me. Weird looking.
Do you have any words?
Yeah, how's your words coming?
Oh, nothing. Same. Nothing's.
I think I just got Shape of You by Ed Sheeran.
Is that what it said? You heard Shape of You?
Yep, definitely.
Are you recording on your camera?
Yeah, I wasn't really watching it.
It's okay. And because the cameras, again, a lot of times it's all about the watching it the next day.
Yeah.
It's a matter of just getting some good still footage and seeing if anything cold walks by.
Yep. Do you want to hold this for a little? Hold this side. I got this.
Is it connected?
No.
Oh, no, I thought it
totally
was.
separate.
He's going to put it all together and see if there's a ghost.
I heard newspaper,
Try not to get the sky.
shipping, and
Ooh.
girlfriend.
But it never goes above the. I think it's
Ella, what does this mean?
There's nothing. It's not moving.
Oh, it's got to move?
Not you moving.
Not wrong. Talking pirates.
I just got some more Harry Styles over here. I don't know what he wants me to say.
I don't either.
What's up? Oh, you guys swapped it up a little bit.
I got nothing.
Your
Yeah.
hand.
Ghost hunting is about patience. A lot of it. Because normally I would spend hours and hours and hours in one location, just waiting to see what's going on. It's just so weird that you're getting readings here. But they're steady. That's the odd thing. Normally when it's steady, it's a man-made object. So but there's nothing around you to make it go off.
Maybe it's your metal leaf.
It's not metal.
They would actually have to be on her knees if they're actually metal. Like she could probably get some kind of reading from it, depending on what they're made out of.
I don't even know.
Mom?
She go around.
I heard baby, trial.
I heard Democratic.
I don't know. Oh, they have had.
Oh no, we're from Georgia.
Oh.
They have.
Yeah, no, I heard Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, but they do. Yeah.
The Democratic piece might actually be relevant.
$20 and shipping.
20. 17.20.
Yeah. And 20 and shipping. Maybe, is that right?
Again, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's there.
This is hard to hold.
Oh, that would be why we heard Democratic.
What?
Emmy. Emmy. So, we've been getting this a lot lately, too.
Where's the other
So,
one?
John Calhoun is actually buried on the other side of that wall. He
She's part of the Democratic Party. Again, it's a stretch because we don't have another term to relative it yet, but I'm going to be diving in because normally we don't get much about Calhoun unless it's the month of March because he was born in March and died in March. So I usually talk about Calhoun a lot more in March, obviously because we get more activity, but you have his specific part. So I'm going to see if there's anything else that's going to match up to that as I'm going through the data. So interesting indeed. And I like the word trial. That's obviously a good one. Again, and you have the number 20.
Yeah.
If you get the number 28 or 11, obviously we're getting the date of the trial. So it'll be 11, 28, 20.
I'll listen.
Again, this one I give you guys a little bit more than the Pinckney Mansion side. I don't withhold as much unless, of course, you hear something you think is silly like Democratic. I'm like, yeah, wait a minute. That might actually be something.
The highest rated, I got some numbers.
That's for your
I got some numbers right over there. I got 3.4
Parking
and
meters. Any colors?
the solid group.
Keep getting the greens.
Your
Her hair color is red. So to get a red, somebody has to touch it. Like that's the only way to get a red. The funny thing is a few weeks ago I was trying to get a message from I think that spirit box over there, like, hey Ann, tell us, because it's a one-syllable word. That one's easy for that. It showed us over here. We moved, so we were back in that corner over here by the tree. We asked again, got the exact same reading. So it's kind of like okay, we actually have something going on. The next night we actually did get it out of your spirit box, and it said red, plain as day. Like, hey Ann, tell us what color your hair is. Got red over there on one night and red out of your spirit box the next night. Again, can't make these things. Come on, too many times I actually see this actually going on a rhythmic pattern. Laura's trying to figure out the thermal. I love it. She's like trying to jostle it around. Anything else that you guys are hearing? Because again, we have a couple of things that I can kind of stem from to see what's going on as I, deep dive a little bit. Did you guys get some footage of the front?
8. That's it.
Just 8. And any other words on that word list? Who's got that now?
Nominee. That's the only thing when you say Democratic nominee.
Threaten.
One's writing it down for me. I don't have to write it down. You said nominee?
Mm-hmm.
Vague, but kind of a stretch. And
Hearing
meeting.
and then I heard clean and beer.
Huh. So we often hear the color black here as well. Blackbeard actually has relative ties to Charleston because he did raid the city looking for medicine at one point. So it was one of the bigger pirate raids that you hear about because he had syphilis from one of his 14 wives and he was trying to find medicine to cure it. So again, he did raid the city. Again, you have beard, which doesn't often show up here. We normally get the color black, and then we'll hear something like Roger, or we'll hear cross, like a skull and crossbones kind of mentality. So
Does it matter if it's like clear? Like if I can hear it clearly versus like the other words?
it depends. Like sometimes if it's not super clear, I won't give it to you guys. Like it has to be like crystal clear. I don't want to guess. And just like what they do for you guys on TV, and they're like, look, it said Blackbeard was here looking for medicine, like sexual STD medicines. No, it did not. Like it's not going to come out that way. So again, that's why like if it's not crystal clear, this is a whole different type of method. It's not always used because again, it can be very skeptical and cynical about this part. But again, when you see the amount of clues that come out of this,
Because Ben freaked me out because as soon as we turned my corner, it was like shh, Ben, shh, and I was like, I heard Ben. So okay.
And again, when you guys see my notes, it's only the things that I'm not second guessing of what it actually said. So again, if I'm like, what was that? I need to re-listen. I need to stop myself.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going to give that.
Because I've got all colors.
All right, I say we wrap this party up. You guys are all staring at me like, we're not hearing anything else. What's going on? Let's go back to the wall so I can start collecting devices and give you the answers to those 2 very simple questions. All right, so again, let's get the mug shot out of the way and the 2 simple questions. So Ann Bonnie, obviously I told you was a redhead, but the photo I'm going to show you is one of the few pictures you can find of her with a shirt on. The reason being is she used to bare her breasts to show men that they were just killed by a woman. So again, Very few. I get a lot of teenage boys on this tour. I don't need angry moms. So, obviously you can see the one bullet flintlocks that they would have been using at the time. I feel like the flintlock is a little bit off. Obviously I have to study those guns because of the dueling and obviously pirates. But the name of her parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. Now, I know I told you guys Mary before, but that was Mary Reed. None of you were expecting a secondary Mary. So none of you gave me that name, so irrelevant at this point, but at least you know the answers. As far as Calico Jack, I always like to show you him because there was a question that I gave you for him as well. And again, this is the real person that they based the Disney character, Captain Jack Sparrow, off of. He is named Calico Jack because of the jackets he wore. They're from the British captains that he killed. So basically, Calico Jack, fancy jacket. So that's why he's called Calico Jack. His father was also like a tailor, so he's very interested in, threading. But the name of his ship was the Kingston. Wasn't expecting the word Kingston to actually pop through a spirit box, but the word king would suffice. We did get the word queen, which is interesting, but not relevant. We don't often hear the word queen either. Just kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, I don't know who Jordan is. And nothing near the River Jordan, based on what we're dealing with here either, that I can think of as far as pirate stories. I also wanted to show you on the, before we actually, pull it apart, I actually started to bring it up. So the camera that Becky's using, where we're standing right now, was probably one of the best pieces of evidence I've ever caught with any of the cameras we've ever had. But you can see an orb actually coming through. You might have to huddle in a little bit because it's on my phone. It's going to come in from this side.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow.
Then it stops and then goes up right above my shoulder. So again, these are, let me replay again. It's okay. I figured you'd be the most interested because that was the camera you were using.
And he was seeing a ghost, I think.
Oh, awesome. It's going to come in this way. Give it just a second. But again, those are the types of orbs that I'm looking for when I'm reviewing your camera. So again, it's exactly right where we're standing. That's why I wait till the end to show it to you so you actually have some relevance.
Put them together, it goes crazy.
I see.
Yeah.
Is it touching your phone?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put them together, it goes nuts.
No,